What is going on, you guys? It is your boy Matt Talk Sports. I am back. We're talking the Bills' victory 31-21 over the Miami Dolphins in Buffalo, and then I'm also predicting the rest of the week 3 slate. What a win by the Buffalo Bills. However, yes, do I wish this was a blowout and Miami barely scored 10 points? Of course. But we're in week 3 to win a game like this close, when it did get tough, when it did get gritty, and we were playing a team that desperately needed a win, to pull out a win like this is a really, really good sign of things to come, in my opinion. So let's talk about it. Josh Allen, what a game by Josh Allen. Perfection, really. Besides just getting conservative in some spots, um, it was really a perfect game from Josh. I thought he looked so good tonight. Threw to 9 different wide receivers tonight, 2 different tight ends. I mean, what a game. Kincaid looked really great, both blocking and catching the ball. He was great to start this game. We finally got our boy Jackson Hoss a touchdown, and he continued to look great blocking today, despite getting absolutely clobbered to start the second half today. Hey, Elijah Moore looking like a true weapon. He's providing for us what we wanted Curtis Samuel to provide for us consistently, whether it's an end around run, whether it's these short passes, the short pass that ended up winning the game or closing out the game for us today. James Cook continues to look great. I mean, this O-line is absurd. The holes are so big for James Cook, it's getting ridiculous. James Cook's patience and the way he is following these blocks, whether it's a tight end or a fullback, or the way he's just patiently going through an open hole, he continues to impress. He continues to be one of the best running backs in the league, if not in the top 5. That man is special. Khalil Shakir got involved tonight like I predicted. Didn't have that many crazy yards, but he got in the end zone when it mattered. Great, great play. And yeah, I mean, Keon, besides a couple drops, he did what he needed to do tonight. Joshua Palmer did what he needed to do tonight. I like what I saw. Tyrell Shavers got involved tonight. Love what I saw there. Offense looked really good. Like I said, despite Joe Brady getting conservative in some spots, the offense looked really good tonight, and I am very happy about that. We probably have the best offense in the league, if not second best to the Ravens, but man, our fucking offense was playing lights out, and the defense of Miami was playing fucking incredible to start the second half. They looked really good, but it's because they needed it really badly, and sadly, if you're a Miami Dolphins fan, you couldn't get it done. So there's that. But also, I want to talk about one thing: our defense, despite TB, Terrell Bernard, TB8, getting it done, getting the pick to ultimately close the game. A little worrisome, that defense. Yes, listen, we are playing one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the NFL, in the Miami Dolphins. However, the Miami Dolphins played hard tonight. They played for their coach, seemingly, and ultimately, the weapons they got on offense are scary and very much can hurt many teams in their path. But they've yet to do it so far, and they failed to do it today to win the game. But man, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle looked really good. Jalen Waddle was abusing Tre'Davious White tonight, which hurt my soul because I love Tre'Davious White. But man, he was getting abused. We need Maxwell Harrison back soon. Luckily, we don't have a too rough of a schedule in these next 4 or so games, so we should be fine. But Maxwell Harrison, we need you soon, bud, because Trey White was getting abused and used. But yeah, our run defense was kind of looking shady in some spots. Gregory Rousseau, I haven't heard you all year yet. What has Gregory Rousseau done yet? Doesn't look great. Joey Bosa looks like our best rusher. And respect to Joey Bosa, love Joey Bosa, but Gregory Rousseau, we paid you a lot of money. You got to show up eventually. It's 3 games in, and I haven't heard a whisper or a loud statement from you yet. Listen, our defense looked great last week against the Jets. The Jets look like shit, and we just shut them down completely. I think on a short week, that's why our defense didn't look so good tonight. But yeah, I mean, obviously, the only thing I'm worried about as a Bills fan is our defense because our offense is so great. But our defense did not look good tonight, and that is a major concern going forward. Major might be too strong a word, but it is a concern. Like, if I'm concerned about one thing going forward, it's the Bills' defense and how consistent they end up being. But I do think once we get Maxwell Harrison back, we will look way better in our secondary. Benford, Harrison, and Teron Johnson are a really good trio of corners. And yeah, we haven't seen Maxwell play a snap of NFL football yet, but he is super fast, and I think he would have done a really great job against Waddle and Hill tonight. And Trey White obviously didn't, and that's who Trey White is filling in for. So the Bills win 31-21, closer than I wanted it to be. I wish it was a blowout, but it wasn't. The Dolphins needed this win badly, and they still couldn't get it. Two things are true whenever the Bills play the Dolphins. Tua is going to Tua, and the Bills are going to win. That is pretty simple, especially in the Josh Allen era. The only game Josh Allen has lost against the Dolphins, which I was in attendance for in Miami, was the fucking bunt punt. That game. If there was like 3 seconds left in that game, I think the Bills win, hit a field goal to win. But sadly, we didn't. But anyway, Bills win 31-21 in a great game. Josh Allen continues his MVP race. He looked so good today. What did he? He only missed like 5 passes tonight. Let's see what he did tonight. Like, bro, Josh was so good tonight. Passer rating of 134.1, 22 of 28, 3 touchdowns, only took 2 sacks tonight. James Cook, 19 for 108, 1 touchdown. Dalton Kincaid, 5 for 66, 1 touchdown. Khalil Shakir, 4 for 45, 1 touchdown. Elijah Moore, 2 for 30. Tyler Shavers, 2 for 24. Keon Coleman, 3 for 20. Joshua Palmer, 1 for 5. Listen, we passed the ball really well tonight, and mostly it's due to the Dolphins secondary being trash, but we did what we needed to do tonight on offense. Our defense was a little scary and sketchy at times, but we got it done. Hey, listen, Keon Coleman was great in game one. A little quiet, did what he needed to do against the Jets, but tonight he was quiet. He dropped like 2 balls tonight, but I'm pretty confident in him going forward. I like the depth at wide receiver. I like what I'm seeing about Elijah Moore these past 2 games, and I like that we got Khalil Shakir back in motion, and he looked really good tonight. I also like Dalton Kincaid tonight, despite dropping that pretty amazing dot by Josh Allen in the end zone. He looked great tonight, besides that drop in the end zone, which was great coverage. The defender ultimately knocked it out of his hands. So, Bills win 31-21, and next week we face the Saints in Buffalo. Golly, we're about to spank the shit out of the Saints. We're definitely covering that game, and I don't think the Saints score a touchdown that game. That's how fucking insane that game will be for the Saints if you're a Saints fan. But anyway, we move on to week 3. We are in week 3 of NFL football. Crazy. Isn't that crazy, man? Week 3 of NFL football. Cherish it, boys. I'm telling you. You're going to want to cherish these games, man, because they go by quick. There is no weeks that feel better throughout the year than the weeks that we have NFL football and all these other sports coinciding with it. Like we're gonna have playoff baseball soon, college basketball, NBA, and football all on the same time. Are you kidding me? That is peak lifestyle for me, in my opinion. First game of the Sunday slate I will be talking about is Las Vegas Raiders versus the Washington Commanders. I believe Marcus Mariota is going to be playing like in this game. Jaden Daniels will be out with a knee injury of some sorts. Man, I gotta talk about this Raiders performance last weekend on Monday. Man, Geno Smith played one of the worst quarterback games I've ever seen in my life. Geno Smith was god awful against the Chargers. Now, the Chargers are really good against the Raiders defensively, and that Chargers defense looks super legit. I mean, they were stopping the run. They were clamping up the Raiders wide receivers, which is not a great wide receiver room, to be honest, especially when Brock Bowers is injured. I know Brock Bowers is a tight end, but, bro, he be moving like a wide receiver. Jacoby Myers is cool and all, but wide receiver 1, don't know about all that, especially on an NFL team, especially on a good NFL team. But, yeah, Geno Smith looked like dog shit. And then the Commanders are without Marcus Mariota. I'm stuck in between a hard place right now. Parts of me is like, hey, Jaden Daniels is out. Marcus Mariota is in. I think the Raiders have a better quarterback. Another part of me is Geno Smith looked so bad last weekend. Can I fucking pick the Raiders to come into Washington and upset the Commanders? I don't think so. I really don't think so. Brock Bowers is in this knee brace that looks horrible on him. He can barely move. Ashton Genty's having a hard time running the ball, despite him looking really good in my opinion. People who are telling you Ashton Genty is a bust right now don't know ball, because there's some really good stuff from him when you're watching him, but the whole line looks like shit. So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick the Commanders to win. I don't know about covering. They're minus 3.5. So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick the Commanders to win this game in Washington. Listen, I just can't trust Geno Smith in this game. I can't. Listen, I know they played a really good team last week, but Geno Smith looked horrible. That offense looked so bad. No urgency. No sense of cohesion on that offense right there. The O-line looks horrible. I trust the Commanders' defense against this team. I trust this Commanders' offense even without Jaden Daniels. Listen, Jaden Daniels is the way, way, way better quarterback than Mariota right now in this point in time, but I don't think that offense is going to take too big of a step back, in my opinion. So I am picking the Commanders here to win this game. Hopefully Ashton Jeanty gets in the end zone because he is on one of my fantasy teams, but yeah, I just can't pick the Raiders after last week. Not really moved by that defense, despite the defense actually playing really good against the Chargers last week. I just cannot trust the Raiders and Geno Smith right now. So I'm going with the Commanders here. Maybe we finally see Terry McLaurin do something in the season so far. Like, he's been relatively quiet. Debo Samuel has been carrying the workload and being the impressive one out of the two, but I think Terry McLaurin might stamp his presence in this game. I think Terry McLaurin might score a touchdown in this game. Browns versus the Packers in Cleveland. Packers are -7.5 in Cleveland. Packers look great. Their defense looks great. Their offense looks really, really competent, and they just move the ball sufficiently well. LaFleur is a great play caller, one of the best offensive minds we have in today's era of the NFL. I have to pick the Packers here, despite me, thinking that the Browns are somewhat a gritty and frisky team. The Packers are infinitely the better team, in my opinion. And I will tell you this: I think the Browns might make this game a little bit competitive. I really do. I do. I don't know why I think this. There's really no merit for me to think this because the Packers have looked so good. I don't know, man. I kind of like what I've seen from the Browns defense. I know the Ravens just beat the shit out of them last week, but I think the Browns might be able to backdoor cover or at least cover the +7.5. I'm probably not gonna bet that because I'm not gonna fucking bet the Cleveland Browns. I got the Browns covering against the Packers, but I do have the Packers winning because ultimately I do think the roster's better. I think the head coach is better, and I do trust the Packers defense to stop the Browns offense when it's needed to win the game. So I think the Packers win. I do think the Browns are liable to cover. And yeah, I think the Browns are liable to cover, but I do think the Packers win. I do think the Browns will be a frisky team with not many wins, but they will be able to fuck up gamblers' bets, meaning they will be able to cover in a lot of these games they play just because of how frisky and weird that defense is. So, Packers win, Browns probably cover, in my opinion. Maybe the game of the weekend: Rams versus Eagles in Philly. LA is traveling to Philly. Rams, listen, I do think the Rams are the better team when it comes to playoff time. I really do. Partially me thinking that is because I hate watching the Eagles. Watching that Eagles and Chiefs game was fucking like watching someone scratch a chalkboard or watching paint dry. That game sucked. Both teams are deathly boring. They both stink at this point in time, despite the Eagles obviously being a good team. I hate the tush push. I want it banned. I used to play offensive guard 1 year in high school, did my little stint, tried to come back senior year, dislocated my knee twice. However, I used to love watching the tush push because I love watching big boys fucking manhandle the D line. However, it's just getting out of hand. I know it's been said relentlessly all week, but it's the worst playing football. Yeah, I get it when you use it on uh, 3rd and 1 on the goal line to score a touchdown. I completely get that, but using it like 8 times in one game is just ridiculous to me, and it's not fun. And listen, not all football should be fun. It's about winning the game, but god damn it, does it make for a horrible viewing experience for NFL fans. Ban this shit next season. I am done with the tush push. Fuck the tush push. But anyway, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, Matt Stafford, Jared Verse, Sean McVay and company going to Philadelphia to face Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, top 3 O-line, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and that stacked defense. Now, I think the LA Rams lose this game, and I do think Jalen Hurts starts to find himself in the passing game because he hasn't been that impressive in the passing game. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith have not been standing out on the stat sheets, despite Devontae Smith having that big catch in the Kansas City game. I do think A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts find rhythm here. I do think they have success in the passing game this week, and I think the Eagles win. I think they probably cover -3.5 as well. I do like the Rams more when it comes to playoff time. I just think right now the Eagles are just physical. They're just good. They just know how to win games at this point. And I did not like what I saw from the Rams in some spots against the Titans last week. I wasn't loving what I saw from them against the Houston Texans in week 1. They were stagnant on offense, and I do think the Eagles despite them not being maybe as stout yet on defense like the Texans are. I do think the Eagles have a better defense, and I think the defense on the Eagles will show out a little bit this weekend. And I do think A.J. Brown looks good this week. I think Jalen Hurts will be thrown to A.J. Brown this week, and I think the Eagles will be fun to watch this week. I think the Eagles win this game. I think they cover, despite me liking the Rams more when it comes to playoff times. 'Cause I do think the Rams are the better team in the playoffs this year, and I do think the Bucks are going to be the better team in the playoffs this year. I like the Bucks and Rams in the NFC a lot this year. I like the Packers as well, but I think the Eagles are probably better than the Packers when it comes to playoffs this year, or at least I trust them more. I got the Eagles winning. I think A.J. Brown scores, and I think they probably cover -3.5. Moving on, yes, I want to pick the Rams to win this game, but I just think the Eagles are the better team right now, despite them being boring as shit to watch last week. I think the Eagles win this game, and I think A.J. Brown shows out. Moving on. Texans going into Jacksonville. I'm going to do it again, folks. I really am going to do it again. Fucking A, bro. I'm thinking I'm going to pick the Jaguars here, and I hate this pick. I absolutely hate this pick. To me, I'm picking this off the line. I think the Houston Texans have a really great defense. Trevor Lawrence threw like 2 picks last week against the Bengals defense that is not good in my opinion. The Texans defense is really good, despite them maybe not looking the greatest they've ever looked on Monday night against the Tampa Bay Bucks. I think the Tampa Bay Bucks have like a top 5 offense in the league. I think that offense is insane. Their whole line is great. The 2 running backs are great, and then they have Mike Evans, Emeka Egbuka, K-Dot, and Baker Mayfield. So that offense is fucking incredible. And yeah, I'm taking the Jacksonville Jaguars, not really based on merit. I think Texans, I think the Texans defense will be able to get some stops. However, I just can't trust that Texans O-line. Maybe I shouldn't really be trusting the Jaguars offensive line, but that Texans O-line is bad, man. I can see Josh Allen Hines putting up some work on that Texans O-line. I can see C.J. Stroud struggling again like he's been struggling. Give me the fucking Jacksonville Jaguars. They moved to 2-1. Texans moved to 0-3. Just not what Texans fans would want to hear or see. I think the Texans lose this game. I think the Jaguars move to 2-1. Not much merit here. To be honest, I have Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter on 2 of my 2 teams in fantasy leagues this year. So I want them to do good. I want to see Trevor Lawrence do good. Did not look great last week against a really bad defense, and they should have won that game against the Bengals. Don't know how they lost that game to Jake Browning, especially when Jake Browning threw 3 picks. Everything I'm saying right now should make me pick the Texans because the Texans have a way better defense than the Bengals. But somehow the Jags are -1.5 in Jacksonville against a way better defense. Give me the Jags because that line is weird. It's trying to trap you into taking the Texans. Give me the Jags, unless I'm just overthinking shit because I probably am. But yeah, give me the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. Brian Thomas Jr. has a way better game than he did last week. I know Derek Stingley and the boys, that's a great defense, but I think Brian Thomas Jr. has something to prove this week. He has not looked good through the first 2 weeks of NFL, I'll tell you that much. He has not looked like the guy that we all saw last year. And let me see something out of Travis Hunter. Don't love how they're using him. I think they got to use him way more on one side than the other. He's either got to be 80% of the snaps on defense and 20% of the snaps on offense. It can't be 51 snaps and 49 snaps on both sides. It just can't. It hasn't worked so far. I'm not saying to immediately abandon that strategy, but I think they should. I think it should be about I don't know, 70 snaps on defense, 20 snaps on offense, something around those lines. Like the Patriots did with Julian Edelman, or like the Cowboys did with Deion Sanders, something like that. He should not be doing 51 and 49, or 49 and 50. You know what I mean. You just can't be doing that. Give me the Jaguars. All signs point to the Texans should win this game, but the way this fucking game is lined, it makes me believe that the Jaguars are going to win this game, and I think C.J. Stroud does not look good again. I do not like that offense at all. I know they're getting Christian Kirk back this week, though. The Texans. Christian Kirk is returning to Jacksonville. Maybe a revenge game for Christian Kirk, but I'm not a fan of this Texans offense. I prefer the Jaguars offense, and I don't trust the Texans O-line. Give me the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville Jaguars move to 2-1. They should be 3-0. Texans move to 0-3. Buccaneers versus the Jets. Jets are traveling to Tampa Bay. Bucks, one of my favorite teams to watch in the NFL. I think one of the very best teams in the NFL. Top 5 team in the NFL, in my opinion. They are a great team. They're -6.5 facing the Jets. Tyrod Taylor getting the start because Justin Fields is out with a concussion after facing the Bills. Tyrod Taylor, I love Tyrod, man. And I'm not too sure Justin Fields is that much of a better quarterback than Tyrod Taylor right now. Don't get me wrong, Tyrod Taylor is not a good quarterback right now, and he does fizzle out the more he starts. So I don't know how long he's going to be a starter for the Jets due to the concussion Justin Fields sustained, but I'm picking the Bucks here to cover pretty confidently and convincingly. I just think the Jets team is a bunch of shit right now. I just don't know what to think of this Jets team. I do think Tyrod Taylor has a chance to play really good this weekend. I do think he is a more confident quarterback, especially when passing the ball, than Justin Fields. Justin Fields is a way bigger threat on his feet, but I can see the Jets fucking picking up a little bit on offense, and I also could see this being a letdown spot for the Tampa Bay Bucks, but I got the Tampa Bay Bucks winning here. I just love their offense. I love their defense. I love their head coach, Todd Bowles, and I think Baker Mayfield is fucking electric, and he is having one of the greatest redemption arcs of all time. From being written off to now being one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, it's admiring, it's inspirational, and he is just a delight to watch. Bucky Irvin, one of my favorite running backs in the league. I think probably a top 10 running back as well. That man is special. That man is so good to watch. Rachaad White and Bucky Irving as your Rachaad White and Bucky Irving as your two running backs. Can't go wrong there. That's a really good fucking duo running back. K. Dot and Mike Evans and Emeka Ibuka. I mean, come on. They're getting Chris Godwin back eventually. That defense is good. They just lost their starting right guard, though. So that is worrisome because I think they do have one of the best O-lines in the league. I'm curious how much that loss of their starting right guard is, but yeah, I think the Bucks win, even with their right guard missing. I think the Jets are despicable and gross, especially after watching the Dolphins and Bills game tonight and seeing how much success the Dolphins had running the ball compared to the Jets, which the Jets, I just can't with the Jets. I'm not. I feel bad for Jets fans. Just kidding. Fuck New Jersey. Anyway, Bucks win convincingly and confidently. I think I've picked all favorites so far. I might continue to be a little bit more chalky here though because give me the Colts in Tennessee. I just think the Tennessee Titans are just I just don't. I know their defense is a little bit frisky. I do not like their head coach. I think the Colts continue to dominate. Their O line is good. Their defense is forcing turnovers, and Danny Dimes is playing lights out. I could see this being a letdown spot. I could see the Colts fizzling out how the Saints in recent memory did when they started off hot 3-0. Give me the Colts to win. I don't know about the betting lines in this game. I'm probably not going to touch this game at all in any aspect. Maybe I'll dabble in Jonathan Taylor touchdowns in some parlays. Maybe a Tyler Warren touchdown if he plays, but yeah, I'm just not a big fan of the Titans head coach. I'm not confident in this offense. I do think their defense is frisky, but yeah, man. Give me the fucking Colts to win this game. Steelers versus Patriots. Wow. What a rough game that is. Patriots are at home. Patriots are +1.5, +110. Steelers, road favorites. We saw the Steelers go into the AFC East away and win in Week 1 against the Jets. I do think the Jets are a worse team than the Patriots. I know the Steelers just lost one of their starters on offense for the year on their O-line. Might be completely out on the Steelers right now. I might be completely out on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I predicted them to go 11-6, I think, which is maybe one of my worst predictions through Week 2. And yeah, I just don't believe in the Steelers team anymore. I just don't think they're going to be able to give Aaron Rodgers enough time where he doesn't have to rely on his mobility to make plays. Give me the Patriots here. Not in a pretty game at all. I think the Patriots win. They move to 2-1. Rather underwhelming and lackluster, but I think they move on to 2-1, and I think they do what needs to get done to win. Give me Mike Vrabel here. Give me the home underdog facing the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think I'm pretty confident here with the Patriots winning this game. Despite me not wanting to pick the Patriots because I'm a Bills fan, I think the Patriots move on to 2-1, and I think the Steelers go to 1-2, and it's the start of a disaster season for the Steelers, it seems like. Vikings versus Bengals. Bengals are +2.5, maybe +3.5. Going into Minnesota, Carson Wentz is the starting quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. Jake Browning is the starting quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals. What a shit show. What a shit show this game is. Probably wouldn't have been that much better with J.J. McCarthy starting versus Jake Browning, but would have been a hell of a lot more interesting if it was Joe Burrow versus J.J. McCarthy. Instead, we got two backups. Carson Wentz, who is still in the NFL, and and fucking Jake Browning. This is a weird game. I think both Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase have great games this game. I just think Justin Jefferson is going to feast on this Bengals defense, especially if Carson Wentz can get him the ball, which I think he can, despite him not being the player that he once was before injury. Um, Jake Browning, 3 picks against the Jacksonville Jaguars defense in like 2.5 quarters, and the Vikings have a way better defense. I did say when I was making my predictions for the Vikings season this upcoming, when I was making my predictions for the Vikings this year, I did think Carson Wentz might have been a bad omen. However, I think this is an extremely winnable game for the Vikings. I know they looked horrible Sunday night against the Falcons, but I do think the Falcons are a good team. And I think the Bengals would have been a somewhat alright team with Joe Burrow, but that defense isn't good. I think the Vikings will be able to score touchdowns with Jay Jetta, with Jordan Mason, and somehow I think Kevin O'Connell will get a win out of Carson Wentz against the Bengals. I just can't trust Drake Browning. I know he's not the worst backup in the NFL. He might even be the best backup in the NFL. However, 3 picks against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think the Vikings are a way better defense. I think Brian Flores is a way better DC than the Jaguars DC. And give me the Vikings here. I think they win. And yeah, I'm picking another favorite. I know. Silly me. Chalky me. Give me the Vikings. I don't know about spreads or anything. I'm probably not going to be betting this game in that capacity. But I do think the Vikings win outright. And I think Jay Jetta has a big game, and he's been due for a big game. Honestly, through 2 games, he's been. I know he had a touchdown against the Bears, but he's been rather quiet, and I think it's probably due to J.J. McCarthy. But I think Carson Wentz finds him the ball here. I think they might even connect on a deep ball here. I could see a deep ball to start the game to Jay Jetta, and yeah, I think Jordan Mason gets on the board as well. I think the Vikings look good here, and I think they do enough to win. I think the Vikings move to 2-1, and I think the Bengals move to 1-2. Now, I just said that I think the Falcons are a good team. This would be a completely Atlanta Falcons thing to do here, to lose this game. I'm stuck here. I am stuck here. And usually the Panthers give the Falcons good outings. I'm stuck here. I like Penix. I like Bijan Robinson. I like the offensive line, how they were blocking for Bijan Robinson and Algier when it came to running. I did like what I saw from the fucking Falcons last week against a really great Vikings defense. I thought the Panthers put up a really admirable effort against the Cardinals in the second half. I don't think the Cardinals are a very good team, but I do think the Panthers put up an admirable effort, despite them having maybe one of the worst drives I've ever seen to try to win a game. I thought that was a horrible ending to a game, which was starting to be an interesting one. But listen, as much as I want to be like the Panthers are going to win this game, and honestly, I don't think that's really out of this realm. I think the Panthers could win this game. I think they can make this a really close game because I think the Falcons are known to choke in these type of spots. And if I was a better man, I think I would pick the Panthers to win. But here's what I'm going to do. I think the Falcons win. I think Bijan Robinson is enough. I think Kyle Pitts, who looked really good last week, actually. I think Michael Penix and him have starting to find some rhythm together and some chemistry. I think the Falcons win this game, but I don't think they cover. I think the Panthers probably cover here plus 5.5. I do think the Falcons are the better team, and I think they should win comfortably, but I could see like a Panthers backdoor cover. I love what I saw from McMillan last week on the Panthers. McMillan looked really good. I think the Falcons got a really good pass rush now, which is something they've been dying for. I think the 2 rookies they got are really fucking good. I like their corners. I'm curious if AJ Terrell is out. I'm not too sure, but if he is out, that is a big deal. But I'm pretty confident. I think they win this game, but I think it's a close one. I think the Falcons win. I think the Panthers cover. Broncos versus Chargers. Chargers, one of the best looking teams in the NFL. Broncos are plus 2.5 going into LA. I did not love what I saw from the Chargers at the end of that game last week. I thought there were some really questionable coaching decisions, especially on the offense. I thought they were playing with their food too much. And honestly, I thought if the Raiders were a better team and had a way better offensive line and way better weapons, they would have won that game. Except they had Geno play the worst game of his career, and they got lucky. I don't think the Chargers get lucky. I think they moved to 3-1 this week. I think the Broncos win after coming off a loss against the Colts in Indy last week. The Broncos should have won that game. They're probably pissed. They're going to be playing amped up. Sean Payton is going to be coaching angry. I think the Broncos come into LA and win this game. I think their defense gets it done, and I think Bo Nix has another good game. Despite him throwing a pick last week that was a costly one, I think Bo Nix looked really good last week, and I think he continues to look good this week. I think the Chargers have a great, great defense. I do think the Broncos have a better one. I know that might be shocking to some people, but I think the Broncos have a better one. I know you can't say that after last week and how the Chargers looked in week 2, but I think the Broncos win this game, and I think they go into LA and win away as an underdog. I'm putting my trust in Sean Payton. I'm putting my trust in Bo Nix. I'm putting trust in that Broncos defense to force some turnovers on Herbert, who has been looking really good and looks like a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. So I'm fading a top 5 NFL quarterback, and I'm fading Jim Harbaugh, but give me the Broncos and that defense and that stout head coaching of Sean Payton. Broncos win in LA as dogs. The dogs are barking in LA. Saints versus Seahawks. I'm not staying too long in this game. Seahawks are -7.5. It's in Seattle. Seahawks don't play good in Seattle. They lost the game against the San Francisco 49ers in Seattle in week 1, but I think that changes. I think they cover this game. I think they beat the Saints. Despite Spencer Rattler looking really good last week against a banged-up 49ers team, I think the Seahawks blow out the Saints. I think the Seahawks defense is really great, and I think they shut down Spencer Rattler and probably hold him to less than 10 points, if not below 6 points. I think the Seahawks defense puts on a fucking defensive masterclass this week, and I think Jackson Smith-Njigba finally gets on the board and gets a touchdown. Despite him being great, 100 yards in both games, I think he gets on the touchdown board this week, and I think the Seahawks win convincingly. 4 o'clock slate is pretty interesting, man. We got Broncos versus Chargers, Saints, Seahawks, Cardinals versus 49ers, and the Cowboys versus Bears all on the 4 o'clock slate. Really, really interesting. Cardinals going to San Francisco, Mac Jones at quarterback. A lot of news about Calais Campbell this week, talking shit about Mac Jones, how we'd rather face Mac Jones. That kind of seems like bad juju, but I told you guys after recapping week 2, the Cardinals are not a good team, but they start off hot, and they're going to start off and continue to be hot again this year. They're going to move to 3-0. They're going into San Francisco and winning this game. I probably shouldn't be doing this. I think Shanahan is the better coach. I think Saleh is a really good DC. I just think the Cardinals win this game. They find a way. They somehow win this game. I think they win this game, and it's just I don't know how they win it. I obviously I can see how they win it, but they shouldn't win it because despite Brock Purdy being out, despite George Kittle being out, I think you might point to the San Francisco 49ers roster being better, but not me, in my opinion. I think, Kyler Murray's not a good quarterback, in my opinion. He's a serviceable one. He's going to be really good these first 3 weeks, but we all know they fizzle out. And I think they win this game, and they begin to fizzle out after. I think the Cardinals win this game. They go into San Francisco and defeat Mac Jones and the 49ers. I think Calais Campbell is writing checks that the Cardinals can cash. I think the Cardinals defense shows up. I think the offense shows up. I think Marvin Harrison has been hearing a lot of noise about his underwhelming sophomore season so far and his underwhelming rookie season. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. shows out this week, and I think the Cardinals win. I like their offense more. I actually like their defense. I like Gannon as a head coach. Obviously, Shanahan is a better head coach, and obviously Saleh is a great DC, so he might cook up something facing Kyler, but give me the Cardinals. I think they start 3-0, and I think the dogs are barking. I think they go into San Francisco as dogs and get the outright victory. Cardinals win. Moving on. We want to talk about a team that desperately needs a win. Chicago Bears in Chicago facing the Dallas Cowboys, who look absurd on offense. They faced the Giants defense last week, who is touted to be one of the best defenses in the league. Haven't looked like one of the best defenses in the league through 2 weeks. I think the Chicago Bears get it done here. They're underdogs. They're +1.5 at home. That should be signs telling me to take the Cowboys. Cowboys do have a better offense. Chicago looks out of sorts. They just let up a 50 ball to the Detroit Lions. I think that says more about the Detroit Lions than it does about the Bears. Don't get me wrong. The Bears aren't a really good team, but I think the Bears win. They need this game a lot. I think the Dallas defense is susceptible to get fucking torn up by this Chicago offense. I think DeAndre Swift is due to have a good week. I think Odunze and DJ Moore will have success this week, and I think the Bears will start to get Colson Loveland involved this week. They need to because they drafted him early. They drafted him ahead of Tyler Warren, who before the draft I said Tyler Warren is the best tight end in the draft by a mile, and I'm not saying that now. I'm saying that now and before the draft. If you watched Tyler Warren last year, you knew how special he was. at Penn State. They put that man everywhere, and he dominated everywhere. So I don't know why the fuck the Bears chose Colson Loveland instead of Tyler Warren. That's one of the most shocking draft picks of all time, in my opinion, and I think it will continue to show. Like, I think Tyler Warren might be a Hall of Famer. I know it's year one, 2 weeks in, injuries can happen. I think that man is a Hall of Famer, and I think that man will be one of the best tight ends in the league for the next 5 to 8 years. I think that's how special Tyler Warren is. But I think the Chicago Bears do it. I think the Chicago Bears defense is better, and I know that's crazy. They don't have Jalen Johnson. They just let up 52 to the Cowboys. I just think the Caleb Williams and the offense the Chicago Bears have this week will eat. I think they outscore the Cowboys and probably in a slugfest and probably a shootout in Chicago. I think the Chicago Bears fans walk away happy with this game, and they deserve it. The Chicago Bears fans deserve to be happy, and they're going to be happy after this game, in my opinion. I think the Chicago Bears win this game as dogs. 3 out of the 4 games in the 4 o'clock slate, I have the dogs winning. I have the Bears winning at home as dogs. I have the Cardinals going into San Francisco as dogs and winning. And then I have the Broncos going into LA and winning as dogs. So the dogs are barking in the 4 o'clock slate for your boy Matt Talk Sports. Moving on. What a shitty Sunday night game this is. Unless we see Jackson Dart get the start or somehow play in this game is shitty. Listen, Russell Wilson looked good last week until that close my eyes, throw a pick ball in overtime and that backwards fumble pass, whatever the fuck he was trying to do. He looked really good on offense. And listen, I think that was a one-time thing. I think the Chiefs, despite looking boring as hell and bad on offense, I think they show up because they really need this win. I think they win this game in New York. Listen, as much as I want to be like the Giants are going to win this game, make it close, the Chiefs know when to win one when it matters. And sadly, if you're a Chiefs fan, happily if you're a Bills fan, they're playing games that are playoff adjacent right now in week 3. They need to win this game. If they don't win this game, man, they're not making the playoffs. You heard it here first. If the fucking Chiefs don't win this game, they are not making the playoffs. The Chiefs need this one. Pat Mahomes needs this one. Andy Reid needs this one. Travis Kelce needs this one. And seemingly Chris Jones, who's been really acting weird. Like, a lot of yelling and screaming by Kelce and Chris Jones. What the fuck is to expect with this Chiefs team? They just don't look good. They're not a team that you fear. Honestly, they weren't a team that you feared last year. They just won a lot of one-score games. So, I'm not fearing the Chiefs. I know the Bills didn't look great tonight despite getting a 10-point win. I'm not fearing the Chiefs. The Chiefs need this one, though, and they win. I'm putting my faith in the 0-2 Chiefs rather than the 0-2 Giants. They got the better coach. They got the better quarterback. They have the better defense. They have the better offense. Despite the Giants' offense looking really good last week, I just think the Chiefs will clamp the Giants' offense on Sunday Night Football, and I don't think it's a pleasant game to watch because ultimately the Chiefs will get stopped because they are an offense that is not susceptible to dominate yet. They don't have Rashee Rice. I think Xavier Worthy is going to be playing this game, which makes a difference. I think Xavier Worthy is going to make this offense look somewhat capable on Sunday night. So I think the Chiefs win, and I think Kelce probably finds the end zone because he needs to make up for what the fuck happened in that Eagles game and him dropping that ball leading to a pick by Quinion Mitchell. So Chiefs win because they need it. As much as I want to be like the Giants will upset the Chiefs in New York, aka New Jersey, aka MetLife, I just don't see it. If the Chiefs lose this game, they're out. They don't make the playoffs. They just aren't, in my opinion. I know they're the Chiefs. I know you shouldn't give up on the Chiefs. They need this, and I think the Chiefs win games when it matters, and this is the playoff adjacent game. The Chiefs win to my agony. There's nothing more I want to see to cap off an NFL Sunday than the Chiefs losing, but I don't think we get that this weekend. I think the Chiefs handle business and move to 1-2. The Giants move to 0-3. Monday Night Football, because yes, I will be having a video released on Monday before this game, but I want to talk about this game because this is a really great game. The Lions are going into Baltimore to face the Ravens. It's a -4.5 spread for Baltimore. Lamar is incredible against the NFC North. I do really, really, really love the Lions defense, despite them not being totally great through 2 weeks. They were bad in week 1. They were not totally great in week 2. However, I think the Ravens win this game just because of how great Lamar is against the NFC. How can I fade that record? Maybe I can see the Lions putting up a better fight than they have in recent past against the Ravens because I'm pretty sure the last time they faced the Ravens, they got fucking dog walked. I don't see it being a doll walking. I think this is actually a great Monday night game, and I think the Sunday night game will be lackluster, so I think Monday night will make up for it. I do think this is a high scoring game. The Ravens have a really good defense, and yeah, they're probably going to pick off Goff 1 to 2 times, but I do think the Lions will score and make this game an interesting one. I can see a whole bunch of different players scoring in this game. I can see Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry has a way better game than he did last week because the Cleveland Browns were fucking clamping up Derrick Henry all of last week, giving him a hard time. Um, yeah, um, I think the Ravens win this game. I think they probably cover -4.5. I think Lamar is super, super insane against the NFC, and I think he continues to be. I think Lamar, second best quarterback in the NFL. He's absolutely terrific, and I think through week 3, this MVP race continues to be tight as hell because the fucking the MVP race is definitely Josh and Lamar at the head of it right now. Yeah, you can argue Herbert, Baker, and Jordan Love. In my opinion, here's my MVP rankings through week 2, heading into week 3. I think it's Josh at number 1 because we just saw him play in the week 3 game and he looked absolutely insane against the Miami Dolphins. Obviously not a great team, but Lamar looked great last week despite him stat padding a little bit. He's one of the best. He looked great last week. Number 3, I would have Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is just exceptional. What he did to win that Falcons game and then what he did to win the Texans game, both against really good defenses. He had last minute drives to win both those games. Baker is the third Baker is third in the MVP race in my opinion right now. Fourth would be Justin Herbert and fifth would be Jordan Love. I just think Herbert has been way more impressive than Jordan Love in this point in time, despite how dominant the Packers have been. I think that's more so due to the defense and the great play calling of LaFleur than it is due to Jordan Love. I think Herbert has been way more heroic, and Chargers have been way more reliant on the talents of Herbert than Jordan Love, vice versa. So, yeah, that's my MVP rankings through week 2 slash a little bit of week 3. Josh Allen at 1, Lamar at number 2, Baker at 3, Herbert at 4, and Jordan Love at 5. So yeah, I think Ravens win the game in Baltimore against the Lions. It's in Baltimore. Lamar is great against the NFC, and ultimately that's what it comes down to. I think Baltimore Ravens move to 2-1, Lions move to 1-2, and I do think it's a high scoring game, and I do think it is a shootout. I think the Ravens will begin to pull away from it because no one can really stop Lamar. But of course, I would love to see the Lions win this game. I just think the Ravens are super talented and they have the ability to win out, honestly. I know they probably won't because in division games suck and they are hard games. But Ravens have enough talent to win out. And I wouldn't be surprised if they won out to finish off their season because I think that's how talented they are. But Ravens win, Lions lose. Ravens go to 2-1, Lions go to 1-2. Here are my full picks for week 3. I have the Vikings beating the Bengals at home. I have the Patriots beating the Steelers. I have the Colts going into Tennessee and winning. I have the Jaguars beating the Texans in Jacksonville. I have the Falcons going into Carolina and beating the Panthers. I have the Eagles beating the Rams in Philly. I think the Eagles look really, really good on offense this week. Despite me liking the Rams going forward, I think the Eagles win this game despite me liking the Rams more going forward. But I think the Eagles show on offense this week. I think the Bucks win against the Jets convincingly in Tampa Bay. I think the Commanders, despite having Jaden Daniels out, win against the Raiders in Washington with Marcus Mariota. I think the Packers win in a close game in Cleveland against the Browns. I think the Browns will be able to bottle up Josh Jacobs just like they did to Derrick Henry this past week, and I think that's what makes this game so close, in my opinion. I think the Browns will cover, and I wouldn't be surprised. I know this is crazy because the Packers have looked great. I wouldn't be surprised if the Browns somehow won. Like, I'm telling you, that team is literally frisky. I think maybe even by the definition. And then I have the Broncos going into LA against the hot Chargers and winning as dogs outright. I have the Seahawks handling business and being dominant against the Saints in Seattle. I think they finally show out for the 12-man. I have the Cardinals going into San Francisco, moving to 3-0. 49ers moving to 2-1. I think the Cardinals begin to fizzle out after this game, and I think the 49ers continue to fizzle out after this game, and it starts in this game. I think the Bears win at home against the Cowboys as dogs. I think Chicago Bears fans will be happy after Sunday, and I think the Chiefs handle business because they so desperately need to against the Giants in MetLife in New Jersey. And then I have the Ravens defeating the Lions in Baltimore in a shootout in a somewhat close game. I just think Lamar is so good against the NFC and so dominant against the NFC that he will get it done, and he will prove to a lot of people that not a lot of teams can beat him, and not a lot of teams can beat the Ravens. The Ravens get beaten by the Chiefs and the Bills so far, as we can see. So that is week 3 for me. Those are my predictions. Here's your boy Matt Talk Sports. Those are my week 3 predictions. Follow me everywhere at Matt Talk Sports for more content like this. Follow me at Matt Talks Films if you want to see some film content from me. And listen, I'm grinding out here. I'm being consistent. I'm not there yet. I'm going to be there one day. Follow me everywhere at Matt Talks Sports. Follow me everywhere at Matt Talks Films. It's your boy. I'll see you soon. I'll see you everywhere at those accounts, Matt Talks Sports, Matt Talks Films. I'll see you for week 4. Enjoy this week, gentlemen. Actually, I'll see you for Recap Monday because I'm going to be recapping week 3 before Monday night, and then I'll see you for week 4. So it's your boy, Matt Talks Sports. I'll see you soon.